The ocean floor at 400 meters depth held secrets that men were never meant to discover. Captain William Ironhand Carter was about to become one of those secrets. The USS Scorpion cut through the dark Atlantic waters like a blade through silk. It was March 1963, and Carter's orders were clear. Intercept the Soviet supply route, gather intelligence, return undetected. Simple, clean, routine, but nothing about this mission would be routine. "Captain, torpedo in the water!" The sonar operator's voice cracked through the control room like a whip. Carter's hand was already on the periscope rail. "Distance? 2,000 yards and closing fast, bearing 270. Dive, emergency dive. Take us down to 400 meters. Engines full ahead." Carter's voice was steel wrapped in ice. No panic, never panic. That's what separated the living captains from the dead ones. The Scorpion's nose pitched forward violently. Men grabbed whatever they could hold. Coffee mugs shattered. Charts slid across tables. The depth gauge needle spun clockwise like a clock running toward midnight. 300 meters, 350, 375. "Torpedo still tracking, sir. 1,000 yards. Carter's mind raced through possibilities. The Soviet destroyer above them had gotten lucky. Or maybe not lucky. Maybe they'd been expected, but that was a problem for later. Right now, survival was the only equation that mattered. Sonar, find me a hole. Canyon, trench, anything. "Sir, there's something..." "Bearing 345. It's reading as a deep canyon system. Walls on both sides, depth unknown." "How wide?" "Narrow, sir. Maybe 50 meters across at the mouth." 50 meters. The Scorpion was 28 meters long, with a beam of 9 meters. Tight, very tight, but a torpedo couldn't follow them through a canyon without risking impact on the walls. "Set course 345. Thread the needle, gentlemen." The submarine banked hard to starboard. Metal groaned. Rivets creaked. Every man in that control room knew what Carter was attempting. Some of them had seen captains try desperate maneuvers like this before. Most of those captains never surfaced again. 400 meters depth. Entering the canyon, sir." The walls appeared on sonar like the jaws of some ancient underwater beast. Dark rock formations that had stood for millions of years, now barely wider than the submarine trying to slip between them. "Torpedo distance. 600 yards. Wait." The sonar operator pressed his headphones tighter against his ears. His face went pale. "Sir, the torpedo just lost tracking. It's confused. The canyon walls are creating multiple echoes." Carter allowed himself one breath of relief. Just one. "Maintain course. Reduce speed to 1/3. Let's not kiss those walls." But the relief was premature. "Captain." The sonar operator's voice had changed. Not relief, not fear. Something else. Something worse. "I'm picking up another contact." "The destroyer?" "No, sir. It's inside the canyon. Below us, moving parallel to our course." Every head in the control room turned toward the sonar station. "Below us?" Carter moved to the sonar display. "How far below?" 50 meters, sir. Matching our speed exactly. Same heading." "Classification?" The operator's hands trembled slightly as he adjusted the frequency filters. "Sir, it's reading as us." Silence filled the control room like water filling a sinking ship. "Say again." "The sonar signature is identical to the Scorpion, Captain. Same propeller count, same engine frequency, same displacement. It's like we're looking at ourselves in a mirror." Carter's executive officer, Lieutenant Commander Hayes, stepped closer. "Could it be an echo? The canyon walls bouncing our own signature back?" "Negative, sir. The contact is maintaining independent movement. When we turned to enter the canyon, it was already here. It didn't follow us in. It was waiting." But Carter had learned long ago that impossible was just another word for insufficient data. "Active ping. I want to see what we're dealing with." "Sir, that will reveal our position to..." "Do it." The sonar pulse shot out like a heartbeat in the dark. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3. The return signal painted a picture that made no sense. There, 50 meters below them, was a submarine. The exact length of the Scorpion. The exact shape. Even the damage to the port stabilizer that they'd sustained 3 weeks ago during a rough surface operation, the other vessel had it too. "This isn't possible," Hayes whispered. "Navigation. What's our exact position?" The navigation officer checked his charts. "Coordinates 42.5 north, 28.7 west, sir. We're approximately 200 nautical miles west of the Azores in an uncharted canyon system." "Uncharted?" "Yes, sir. This canyon isn't on any of our maps. It shouldn't exist here." Carter's jaw tightened. 23 years in the Navy had taught him that when reality contradicted the maps, reality always won. "Communications. Attempt to raise the contact. All frequencies." The radio operator worked through the spectrum. Static, empty channels, white noise. Then, a voice crackled through the speakers. Distant, distorted, but unmistakably familiar. "Scorpion. This is Scorpion. Do not attempt to follow us. Maintain your current depth and heading." It was Carter's own voice. Hayes grabbed the back of a chair to steady himself. That's you, sir." "I'm aware, Commander." Carter's mind was moving through possibilities faster than the submarine moved through water. Recorder malfunction? Impossible. He'd said nothing on the radio since entering the canyon. Enemy psychological operation, but how could they replicate his voice perfectly and predict their exact position? "Sir, the contact is changing depth. It's ascending." Carter watched the sonar display. The duplicate Scorpion was rising slowly, carefully, staying perfectly aligned with the canyon walls. "Match their depth. Stay 50 meters behind." "Captain, with respect, we have no idea what—" "I'm aware of what we don't know, Hayes. That's why we're following. If that's some kind of Soviet trap, I want to understand it. If it's something else—" Carter didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. The two submarines rose through the canyon like shadows climbing toward light. 300 meters, 250, 200. "Sir, I'm picking up another transmission. Same frequency." Carter nodded. "Put it through." This time the voice was clearer. Still his voice, but the words chilled him to the bone. "Carter, listen carefully. In exactly 30 seconds, your sonar operator will detect a thermal layer at 180 meters. You'll want to hide beneath it. Don't. Continue rising. The Soviet destroyer has moved off, hunting where we led them." Hayes looked at Carter. "How could they know?" "Quiet." Carter counted in his head. 28, 29, 30. "Captain, thermal layer detected at 180 meters. It would provide excellent cover." The prediction was perfect, which meant whoever was in that other submarine knew exactly what would happen aboard the Scorpion before it happened. "Continue rising. Ignore the thermal layer." "But, sir—" "You heard the order." They passed through 180 meters. Carter held his breath, waiting for the Soviet destroyer's active sonar to find them, waiting for the hammer to fall. Nothing. At 100 meters, they leveled off. The canyon walls had widened here, opening into a broader underwater valley. And there, ahead of them on the sonar display, the other Scorpion had stopped. "They're holding position, sir. Dead in the water." "All stop. Hold position here." The Scorpion drifted in the current, maintaining depth through subtle adjustments of the ballast tanks. For 3 minutes, nothing happened. Two submarines, identical in every way, floating in an impossible canyon in the middle of the Atlantic. Then the radio crackled again. "You're going to have questions, Carter. I had the same questions 30 minutes ago, or 30 minutes from now. Time doesn't work the same way down here." Hayes stepped closer to Carter. "Sir, this is insane. We need to surface. Report this to—" Carter raised a hand for silence. He keyed the radio transmitter. "This is Captain Carter of the USS Scorpion. Identify yourself." A pause. Then, "You know who I am, William? I'm you. 30 minutes ahead, or behind. The canyon doesn't care about linear time. It just echoes, echoes. Every 30 minutes, the canyon loops. Right now, 30 minutes behind us, another Scorpion is entering the canyon mouth, running from that same Soviet torpedo. 30 minutes ahead, another version is having this exact conversation. We're all the same submarine, William, just at different points in the same loop." Carter's hand tightened on the radio handset. "That's impossible." You said the same thing 30 minutes ago, or you will say it 30 minutes from now. I stopped being able to tell which was which after the third loop. The sonar operator's voice cut through the conversation. Captain, new contact, bearing 180, depth 400 meters. It's entering the canyon mouth. Carter watched the display. Another submarine, same signature, same speed. They're running from the torpedo, the voice on the radio said. Just like we did. Just like we will again. Hayes grabbed Carter's arm. We need to leave. Now. Whatever this is, we need to get out of this canyon before... The radio voice interrupted. Before what, Commander Hayes? Before we become trapped like I am? Too late. You entered the canyon. That's all it takes. What do you mean, trapped? Carter demanded. I've tried to leave, William. 7 times now, or maybe it was the same time 7 different ways. Every time I try to surface. Every time I try to exit the canyon, I end up back here, having this conversation with myself. With you, the canyon won't let go. The new contact was rising now, following the same path they had taken. In 30 minutes, it would be here, having this same conversation. Carter's mind raced through the implications. If what the voice said was true, and the evidence supported it, however impossible, then they were caught in some kind of temporal loop. A fragment of time that repeated endlessly, echoing through the canyon like sonar pulses bouncing off rock walls. There has to be a way out, Carter said. Everything has a solution. Does it? The voice sounded tired, defeated, nothing like Carter's usual tone. I thought the same thing. The first loop, I tried going faster, rammed through at flank speed, just ended up back here with a damaged propeller. The second loop, I tried going deeper, below the canyon floor. The pressure nearly crushed us. Third loop, I tried waiting it out. Stayed in one spot for 3 hours. When 30 minutes passed, everything reset anyway. Hayes was pale. Sir, with respect, we should treat this as a hostile contact. This could be some kind of Soviet. It's not Soviet, Commander, Carter said quietly. It's us. How can you be sure? Because he knows things only I would know. The way he predicted the thermal layer. The way he knew your name without introduction. The way he's thinking exactly like I would think in his position. Carter keyed the radio again. You said you've tried 7 times. What haven't you tried? A long silence. Then, what do you mean? You've tried going faster, slower, deeper, waiting it out. What haven't you tried? Another pause. Carter could almost hear his other self thinking, working through the same logical progression he was working through. Changing the timeline, the voice finally said. I've been trying to escape. I haven't tried to change what happens inside the loop. Exactly. If we're really stuck in a 30-minute cycle, and we're really encountering different versions of ourselves, then information can flow backward. We can warn ourselves, change decisions, alter outcomes. To what end? To find the variable that breaks the loop. Carter was thinking faster now, the pieces falling into place. There's something about this canyon that creates the effect. Some specific combination of depth, location, electromagnetic fields, who knows what. But if we can identify it, we can avoid triggering it. Hayes looked between the radio and Carter. Sir, you're talking about time travel. No, Commander. I'm talking about time echoes. We're not traveling to different times. We're all existing in the same 30 minutes, just at different points within it. The sonar operator called out. Sir, the new contact is at 300 meters and rising, following our exact course. Carter checked the chronometer. 23 minutes had passed since they entered the canyon. 7 minutes until the loop reset, if it reset. Listen to me. Carter spoke into the radio urgently. How many times have we had this conversation? This is the first time, the voice replied. Then we're changing the loop. I'm saying something different than you said, which means information can flow backward. We can break this. Or we're just creating a new loop, one where we think we're breaking it. Carter felt the weight of that possibility. How many times had they tried this? How many times had they thought they found the answer, only to loop back? No. He pushed the doubt aside. Doubt was paralysis. Action was survival. New contact now at 200 meters, the sonar operator reported. 6 minutes left. Carter made a decision. Engineering, prepare to surface. Emergency blow. Sir? Hayes stared at him. You just heard him say that surfacing. I heard him say that he tried to surface, but he tried to surface by following standard procedures. I'm not going to do that. What are you going to do? Something he didn't think of, because I just thought of it now. Carter turned to the weapons officer. Load torpedo tube 1. Set for contact detonation, 0 guidance, immediate launch. The weapons officer's eyes widened. Sir, we have no target. Yes, we do. Load the torpedo. Captain. Hayes grabbed Carter's arm again, harder this time. You cannot fire a torpedo in these waters without authorization. That's a court-martial offense. That's the variable that changes, Carter said calmly. The other me didn't fire a torpedo. He followed procedure. I'm not going to follow procedure. Hayes looked like he wanted to argue further, but something in Carter's eyes stopped him. The weapons officer moved to comply with the order. Torpedo loaded in tube 1, sir. Sir, new contact now at 150 meters. 4 minutes until... The sonar operator trailed off. Until the loop resets. Until they became the submarine having this conversation. Carter keyed the radio one more time. If you can hear this, and you will hear this, because you're me 4 minutes from now, fire a torpedo straight down. Maximum depth setting. Contact detonation. What will that accomplish? The voice asked. I don't know yet, but it's different. That's all that matters. 3 minutes. Torpedo ready, Captain. Fire tube 1. Straight down. 90-degree angle. The submarine shuddered as compressed air forced the torpedo out of the tube. On the sonar display, the weapon's signature appeared, diving straight down into the canyon floor. 2 minutes. They waited. Carter counted heartbeats. 1 minute. Sir, the torpedo has reached maximum depth. It's at... The canyon floor exploded. Not a loud explosion, not a violent one. Something else. The sonar display went white with interference. Every gauge in the control room flickered. The lights dimmed and then surged back to full brightness. And the other Scorpion vanished from the sonar screen. 30 seconds. Where did they go? Hayes demanded. I don't know, Carter admitted. But they're gone. Sir, new contact bearing 180 is still approaching. They're at 100 meters now. Carter watched the chronometer. 20 seconds. 15. 10. At exactly 30 minutes from when they entered the canyon, the chronometer reset to 0, but nothing else changed. The Scorpion didn't jump back to the canyon mouth. The other contact didn't suddenly appear ahead of them. The torpedo explosion's echoes continued to fade naturally. We're still here, Hayes whispered. We're still here. Carter allowed himself a breath. The loop broke. Whatever that torpedo hit, it disrupted the effect. But the other contact, sir, the one at 100 meters, they're in their own loop, or were. When they reach this point, they'll fire a torpedo too. Carter keyed the radio. Scorpion, this is Scorpion. I know you're at 100 meters. In 3 minutes, you're going to have a conversation about time loops. Don't wait. Fire a torpedo straight down right now. Trust me. Trust yourself. For 15 seconds, nothing. Then, on the sonar display, a new torpedo signature appeared. The approaching submarine had fired. Seconds later, another explosion bloomed on the canyon floor. The approaching contact vanished from the screen. They did it, Hayes said. They listened. Of course they listened. I would have listened. Carter rubbed his temples. Navigation. Get us out of this canyon. Standard ascent. Aye, sir. Ascending to periscope depth. As the Scorpion rose toward the surface, Carter found himself wondering how many submarines had been trapped in that loop before them? How many were still trapped, playing out their 30 minutes over and over? At periscope depth, Carter raised the scope and swept the horizon. Empty ocean, no threats, just waves and sky. Radio room. Send a coded transmission to Atlantic Fleet Command. Coordinates of this canyon and a warning. Avoid at all costs. Mark it as a navigational hazard. Aye, sir. What reason? Carter thought about that. List it as extreme magnetic interference. That'll keep ships away. Yes, sir. Hayes stepped next to Carter. Sir, what do you think we hit down there on the canyon floor? Some kind of mineral deposit that created an electromagnetic field strong enough to distort space-time, or something we don't have words for yet. Should we report what really happened? Report what? That we were trapped in a time loop? They'd never believe it. Hayes was quiet. Then, the other you said he'd been through the loop 7 times. But when you asked if we'd had this conversation before, he said it was the first time. Carter had thought about that too. Maybe all 7 loops. He never tried what we tried. Never thought to fire a torpedo. Or maybe we're still in the loop. Maybe this is just a different version of the same 30 minutes. Maybe, Carter agreed. There's no way to ever know. They surfaced an hour later. The sun was setting, painting the Atlantic in shades of orange and red. That night, Carter stood on the bridge, watching the stars. Somewhere behind them, that canyon still existed, still waited. He thought about the voice on the radio. His voice, tired, defeated, saying he'd tried 7 times. In his pocket, Carter carried a note he'd written. If you're reading this, you've been free for 3 hours. He pulled it out, read it in the starlight. Real handwriting, real words. But so had everything in the canyon been real. Carter checked his watch. 29 minutes since they surfaced. 1 minute left. Hayes appeared beside him. Neither spoke. Both understood. 10 seconds. 5, 2, 1. The second hand swept past the 30-minute mark. Nothing changed. We're free, Hayes whispered. Yes, Carter said. But a small part wondered. How many times had they stood here? 3 weeks later, Carter received a coded message. A Soviet submarine had entered the canyon coordinates. They'd ignored the warnings. The Soviets never transmitted again. No debris, no wreckage, just empty ocean. Carter burned the message. Some secrets belonged at the bottom. That night, he dreamed of submarines in endless canyons, of 30 minutes playing forever. Carter would complete missions, train officers, eventually retire with honors. But part of him always wondered. Somewhere in the Atlantic, did a version of the Scorpion still drift? Still repeat its 30 minutes? And which version was real? The one that escaped or the one that never could? Carter never entered another canyon. Some questions were better left unanswered. Some echoes were better left alone.